Can my new continuous glucose monitor help this insulin-dependent diabetic achieve an A1C in the 4s? What about type 2 diabetics? Would they also benefit from this brand new technology too? How accurate is the continuous glucose monitor versus our tried and true glucose meters? Are they truly finger stick free as now claimed? The answer to that question may save your life, as you will see. And you'll get everything you'll need to know about the Dexcom 6 today, including how I responded to an urgent low in real time and where it may be purchased at a rock bottom price. But before we begin, let me welcome all of you resilient diabetics out there. This is the channel we turn ordinary, struggling diabetics into extraordinary well-controlled diabetics. If you don't know who I am and you are brand new to this channel, I welcome you. My name is Jay Sampat, and I became an insulin-dependent diabetic a little over 6 years ago due to an autoimmune attack which caused the destruction of my pancreas as a result of a severe gluten allergy attack. So basically, I am the proud owner of a pancreas that's gone on a permanent and lifelong vacation. So not only am I a diabetic just like you, where we will be walking that walk and talking the talk together, but I do also have a University Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition dietetics, and that does come in very handy in discussing all the intricacies of being a diabetic. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button followed by the gray notification bell. Then choose turn on all notifications if you want to be notified when a new Resilient Diabetic video has been published. As with all my videos, this should not be considered personal medical advice. This is my interpretation of the latest research. If you want medical advice, please always consult your physician. This video is not about the setup and instructions for the Dexcom 6. There are hundreds on this subject already. This one is far more important for you in particular. How can this device help us diabetics, type 1s, LADAs, type 2s achieve a low, long-lasting A1C for the best possible life expectancy? So I finally did receive my continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, which happens to be a Dexcom 6. And if you've been following me and you're subscribed, and I know you are, then you know this has been a struggle, an ongoing battle, because I have been denied, and I was denied a prescription by my insurance doctors because they consider me to be a well-controlled diabetic, even though I am an insulin-dependent diabetic. So basically, I have been penalized for two reasons. One, for keeping my A1C in their controlled ranges, and second, I am and was super sensitive to all the hypoglycemic episodes. And here's the irony. My endocrinologist still wants my A1C higher than it is. But I can only speak for myself here. But after years of learning and understanding this disease, I have come to the realization my A1C was and is still not good enough. It actually needs to be lower. My new goal is to get it to 5 or in the high 4s if possible. And with this new tool, I just may be able to. But here are my variables. First, what is unique to me is the amount of exorbitant muscle tissue I do carry around. Because it is substantially more than normal and highly sensitive, my blood sugars can move and move violently after exercise. So titrating small amounts of insulin is a bit more complicated, especially with metformin in the equation. 2, I have 3 more unknown variables just added into the equation. I just recently switched my basal insulin to Levemir, and I'm figuring out my ideal twice-a-day dose. I've also been prescribed both vitamin D and thyroid medications because of some recent lab work that was just done, both of which could have huge impacts on stabilizing my blood glucose levels. As far as I'm concerned, Every type 1 diabetic, especially those using insulin, ones using bolus and basal insulins, must have this life-saving tool. And I'll go as far as saying, if one has just been diagnosed a diabetic, even a type 2 diabetic, this tool will allow you to objectively see how different foods, are affecting your blood sugars in real time. There will be no more arguments if that brown rice or that 2 slices of whole grain bread are any healthier than that can of sugary soda. You will see all 3 raise blood sugars just the same, and all 3 are damaging the body just as equally. We have discussed pancreatic burnout and how our esteemed healthcare experts have completely missed this key factor when designing your treatment plans. This tool will show you once and for all, the more carbs you consume, good or bad, the worse your diabetes will become over time. The pancreas, for many of you once diagnosed, is already failing and will continue to fail at a faster rate the higher your blood sugars remain. I do not want you falling prey to all the numerous poorly designed diets out there, all proclaiming a reversal, or even worse, a cure. I will, however, put a link in the description box below with a playlist of videos on the foods I eat and why. So getting back to our health, every 1% rise in our A1C is clinically significant to our health. The faster you can come to a concrete understanding of what works by finding a diet plan that you enjoy, one that you can stick to, which also keeps you satisfied all day without feeling hungry, the faster you can avoid all the extremely painful complications associated with this disease. I've said this before, and I will keep repeating myself. All you have to do is look at the explosion of dialysis centers popping up on what seems like every street corner. And who are their patients? Yes, all the diabetic type 1s, type 2s that have lost their kidneys due to maintaining A1Cs in the higher levels. Monitoring our blood glucose levels continuously provides this invaluable information that we just can't get any other way. Just like I mentioned, for many new diabetics, you will see how quickly your blood sugars rise when you do eat that big bowl of whole grain cereals your nutritionist just recommended. When it comes to insulin timing, I get to see exactly how long my pre-bolus kicks in before I get to eat, so I can flatten out those post-meal spikes. Is it 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or more? I exactly know that now. To just as importantly, what's going on in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping? Where do my blood sugars peak and where does it begin to fall? Do blood sugars steadily climb throughout the night, or is it stable and in range until it spikes right before I wake up, like for many diabetics? And amazingly, it does not spike for me, but it drops when I wake up. It peaks around 1 to 2 a.m., then slowly drops from there. And then as soon as I wake up, my blood sugars actually begin to drop again, but at a faster rate. That is because of all the additional muscle tissue I carry around. When I get my first cup of coffee in, it begins to stabilize and then rises just a bit, as you can see. I get to see what happens during and after my morning cardio. How do my sugars trend when I train with weights? And perhaps the most importantly for my young family, this continuous glucose monitor alerts me reliably when I'm not only near my lows, so I can make adjustments, especially if my trajectory continues past those critical thresholds. I'm also able to input meals, medicine, and physical activity notes into my Dexcom device, which helps me better track glucose trends. Seeing that dotted line rise or fall after meal tells you a lot about the effects of different foods have on glucose levels, how quickly some foods affect blood sugar, and how well the current insulin dose is working. And for you type 2 diabetics, you will objectively see and know how healthy and responsive your pancreas is to all the different kinds of foods. If you see steep lines after lunch, that may mean more insulin is needed for food at that given time. Or point blank, you're just consuming way too much or the wrong types of carbohydrates. If you see glucose drop after supper, that may tell you that too much insulin is being given for that evening meal. With this information, you're in a better position to recognize trends and then adjust insulin or food intake to even out future highs or lows. This Dexcom 6 provides more than just a static number in time. It also provides a glucose trend in real time. This tells you not just where your glucose is, but where it's headed. Are you at 51 and headed straight down? Or are you at 51 and rising? Or are you at 51 and flatlined? With this glucose trend information, you're in better positions to make informed choices about what to do with your current glucose level. Do you take in extra carbs? How much carbs? Or is it best just to do nothing? In the case that you're seeing right now, I actually did nothing. Yes, it is very low, but that was after weight training and my bolus insulin had already peaked and kicked in hard. But I already ate my post-meal, which consisted of cruciferous vegetables and lean ground beef. No starches like rice, potatoes, breads, or even pasta post-training. Because that indicator showed a stabilization or a flat line, I was actually confident knowing that I would not need to add in any sugars. Just let the low-carb meal work as the bolus insulin, which happened to be R, would also begin to clear and fade. Can you see how those small adjustments based on real-time indicators could flatten out that glucose curve, providing a better A1C over time? So let me cover some of the differences between the standard glucose meter and a continuous glucose meter. The standard glucose meters we've all come to love and to hate measure glucose levels at a single moment in time, while the continuous glucose monitors check glucose throughout the day and the night. Since CGMs collect measurements 24/7, they provide dynamic information about the direction of the glucose levels and, more importantly, the rate of change. This level of proactivity is not possible with our standard meters. The way measurements are taken is different between the two methods. Blood glucose meters require a finger stick, while the Dexcom places a sensor under the skin while connecting to a transmitter which continually sends regular intervals of glucose readings to a receiver or a compatible smart device via Bluetooth technology. And here's what you should know. Finger prick blood glucose readings and sensor glucose readings won't always match, and they are likely to be different. That is because the Dexcom sensor reads interstitial fluid, which is a very thin layer of fluid that surrounds the cells of tissues right below your skin. So it's not from your blood. There is a 5 to about a 30-minute delay in interstitial fluid glucose response to real changes that occur in blood glucose. So if your blood glucose levels are flat, they will more than likely match. But if movement occurs, your sensor may be behind depending on the direction. The built-in Bluetooth technology allows this Dexcom 6 to communicate results every 5 minutes directly to my smartphone, thereby providing approximately 288 glucose readings per day. That leads us to the next question. Can the Dexcom 6 replace finger sticks? Many of the CGM manufacturers now state, due to the latest technology and advancements, there is no need to take finger stick measurements anymore. This, unfortunately, is nothing more than a fancy marketing ploy. What have I personally noted? Finger sticks are still required, and I still check my blood sugars the old-fashioned way. And I use those numbers to help calibrate the Dexcom, especially when a sensor site has been changed to a new one. But I do also check at critical times, like pre and post training, where my glucose levels are on the move. And here's a great example. This was the morning right after a new sensor was changed. This was an hour before I was going to train legs, which is one, if not one of the most intensive of days. I was actually feeling pretty hypoglycemic, but my Dexcom alarms did not go off and had me at 72. So to confirm, I pulled out my glucose meter and lo and behold, I was at 48. I am, however, getting more confident in this Dexcom. It does get accurate post-sensor change as long as I keep calibrating it. It is great to have a dual backup system in place, especially when the treatment decisions involve glucose alerts that do not match my symptoms or expectations. And for many of you type 2 diabetics out there who check your fingers often, finger pricks, as we now know, are painful and difficult to manage for some. So this tool can be a godsend. The Dexcom 6 sensor is quite slim, and the whole thing is extremely discreet. The transmitter is no bigger than a Bluetooth earpiece, so no one would be able to tell that you have something underneath your clothes. But for many diabetics, these CGMs are now worn like a badge of pride. Out in the open where everyone can see it, many love to put them on the back of their arms, the triceps if you haven't noticed. But there is more that I really do like about this Dexcom. It's called the Dexcom Clarity app. This is a diabetes data reporting and management system with graphs and charts that will be set to your specifications. You will have quick, important insights that help in the assessment of your health, the highs, the lows, the daytime, the nighttime numbers, and your best day. Additionally, you can find your average glucose reading and the risk of hypoglycemia and much, much more. You can view glucose patterns, trends, statistics, and get weekly notifications. And you will know how much time you spend in your target range and out of your boundary zones. But what is best of all, with enough data, you can actually see what your approximate A1C levels will be. You can view, save, print, email any of the Dexcom Clarity reports. You can also share your reports with your doctor directly with what's known as a sharing code, so they will have access to the data, making your appointments far more efficient. The neatest aspect is the heightened safety features due to the system's ability to alert others if glucose levels are not in your target range. So that means it detects highs and lows that you may not have otherwise missed and notifies you with programmable attention-getting alerts. You will get to set how tight you want these boundaries for these given alerts. I have my sharing code that I've given to my wife, so her phone alerts her when my glucose levels are out of range. And the alerts will get your attention, capable of waking up my next door neighbors. The G6 is water resistant, so you can shower and swim with it with no issues. But the sensor can only be worn for approximately 10 days. And there is a hard shutoff point at the 10-day mark where you have to remove it and place another sensor on the body. So now that we know the absolute advantages this Dexcom brings to the table, what about the other considerations? The cost. These CGMs do require a doctor's prescription, not like our glucose monitors where you can buy over the counter and anywhere. And here's where things get a bit dicey. I personally could not afford or justify this amazing tool without my insurance-based coverage. The out-of-pocket cost for the Dexcom 6 is around $355 plus shipping and taxes for a 1-year supply of the receiver, another $349 plus tax for a 1-month supply of the sensors, and another $475 plus tax for a 6-month supply of the transmitter. I do believe as of today, eligible Medicare patients are now qualified to obtain reimbursements from Dexcom, and select insurance companies do also provide coverage. And here is some great news for those of you who have a Costco nearby. If you join their membership participation program, you may be able to get this Dexcom cheaper than what I pay for it through my health insurance. All you have to do is have your doctor give you a prescription for the Dexcom or have them fax it to the Costco of your choice. then go to your Costco pharmacy and fill out the Costco membership prescription program enrollment form. The Costco pharmacy will then place an order for your prescription with Dexcom. So yes, this device is a game changer for me, even for any newly diagnosed type 1, LADA, or type 2 diabetic. For you diabetics who have newly been diagnosed, this is where you're in a state of utter and complete confusion. What can you eat? How often? Your nutritionists and doctors may be telling you one thing, while your tried and true diabetics are stating another. This is where you would need to ask for a lot more test strips for your glucose meters. You will be testing and testing some more prior to each meal, every hour, 2 hours after each meal, to objectively see how you respond. Or now, if your doctor and budget allows for it, a CGM instead, even if it was for a short period of time. I will set up a playlist for you at the end of this video on what are the top labs and preventative tests diabetics must include post-diagnosis. Not only can these tests extend one's life, but help you with blood sugar control, which will thwart all the complications associated with this disease. These are the tests my doctors miss that could save you years of anguish, misery, and pain. If you're on your desktop or laptop, use that mouse to click that upcoming box. If you're on your mobile device, tap that with your fingers. The first is the link to subscribe to this all-important life-changing channel. The second is the link to the all-important playlist mentioned on labs and procedures. So, have a great and productive day, and we will see you soon with another new episode, which are generally released weekly. Bye for now.